always pleasure to welcome back to Ramallah our friend Blair, special envoy of the Quartet, who is here on another visit to the region. It was an important opportunity for us to discuss a number of matters that pertain to our effort to build institutions and capacity, as well as the infrastructure of the Palestinian state as provided for under our program. We discussed various developments that pertain to these issues generally, and issues that, as a matter of fact, need to begin to evolve in a manner that is supportive of that effort. Mr. Blair, as you know, plays a critically important role on behalf of this process with the international community. He's been extremely supportive of that capacity building effort from the very beginning. And it is always important, and I always view it as an important opportunity for me to have these discussions with him. We discussed, for example, issues that I had an opportunity to talk to some of you about yesterday related to our budget for 2010, some important features of that budget for this year, suggestive of more progress in economic matters, but also in capacity building before various improvements led to us projecting substantial improvement in revenue, for example, improvement in the quality of expenditure, rise in development expenditure that's projected for this year. All of these matters, in addition, of course, to what we always discuss related to security arrangements and the progress that we have been able to make over the past couple of years, what we have done in recent period to build on that in terms of establishment of an environment of law and order, which has happened, and the importance for us to, as a matter of fact, begin to see and immediately a response from the Israeli side consistent with what we have been able to achieve, and specifically what we have been asking for, and we believe is very important, is for the Israeli incursions into our areas where we have deployed the security services to stop and stop completely, as well as for the Palestinian Authority to be able to maintain, to have and maintain formal and permanent security presence in all Palestinian population centers. We also talked about the situation in Gaza, continued siege thereon, and the need for that to be lifted for all the right reasons. The humanitarian point of view is clear, economically, but also politically. Once again, Mr. Blair, it's all a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. And first of all, can I thank the Prime Minister for his welcome here again in Ramallah, and I think now is a useful time actually to take stock of the progress that we're making, trying to make in relation to the development of the Palestinian state. And as you will know, the idea of a Palestinian state is not just about a negotiated political settlement. It's also about the institutions, the capacity of statehood, the economy that should go with the dignity and justice of statehood. And I would like to begin by congratulating the Prime Minister on the work that he's done over these past 2 years or so. It's been a quite remarkable achievement. If you rewind a bit back and you think back to the Paris conference in December 2007, I think it wasn't sufficiently understood at the time that the important thing about that was that there wasn't just a pledge of support from the donor community, but there was a pledge against a plan for developing the institutions and capacity of statehood. Now, the Prime Minister more recently last year developed that still further. And what we now have on the Palestinian side are institutions being built, capacity being developed, that will allow a Palestinian state, should the politics succeed, and of course that is a politics, but should the politics succeed, will allow a Palestinian state to be a reality for people. And what the Prime Minister has done on the rule of law particularly has made a significant difference to the lives of people on the West Bank, and obviously that gives us some hope for the future. Now, what we've been talking about, of course, is how we now take all of this further. I mean, over the past few months, very naturally, there's been a focus on whether these proximity talks can begin or not. They now have begun. The question is, however, how do we turn that into a negotiation that will lead to the two-state solution that we want to see? And in this regard, the continued work in developing the capacity, the institutions of statehood, the progress on the rule of law, the progress on things like lifting access and movement blockages, making sure there can be a far freer flow of goods and people on the Palestinian side, ensuring that, for example, projects like Ramallah are properly fulfilled. All of these things can and should play a part in developing the conditions in which a good and successful negotiation can take place. Just on the economy, obviously, within the next few months there will be a Palestinian investment conference, the second of its kind, and again we are expecting a major turnout and major projects to be signed up as a result of that. So there is, of course, an immense amount to do, but I think one thing is very, very clear, that a Palestinian state, of course, is the product of a negotiated settlement, dealing with all the issues that need to be dealt with. But that settlement is far likely to take place and be successful if, in the meantime, there is a ground-up development of the institutions and capacity of government for a Palestinian state. And that is the work that the Prime Minister is doing, and doing to his immense credit, and should enjoy and does enjoy the support of the international community in doing so.
Thank you.
Mr. Blair, first of all, what's your assessment concerning the economic conditions in the West Bank, and do you think that Israel has done enough to help the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinian economy to grow?
Things are better than they were 2 years ago. They're not nearly as good as they need to be. I think that is the truth of it. We have made progress. There is growth. You can see changes in Jenin, in Nablus, in Hebron, and elsewhere. The fact that the rule of law is being provided by the Palestinian Authority in many of these places is, of course, a hugely important part of the economy as well as the security. But there's still a great deal that we need to do in terms of getting projects cleared and developed, in terms of access and movement, in terms of permissions and containerization, and a whole series of things that we are in discussion with the Israeli government about. So, we continue to work on all of these things. I hope now that these proximity talks have begun, that gives a further impetus as well to the things that should happen on the ground. Because truthfully, there has been enormous progress on the Palestinian side, and it should now be recognized.